Well, one of the most exciting things about business is that it can be life-changing for those who seize the opportunity, and our next guest symbolizes what is possible in the world of entrepreneurship. Early in his career, Portland Holdings chairman Michael Lee-Chin saw a growing need for wealth management in this country. His disciplined approach in business and investing earned him billionaire status. It also afforded him the ability to change lives in Canada, in Jamaica, and beyond through his philanthropy. Meanwhile, as an investor and business person, he continues to think long term, whether it's on the subject of an aging population and how that impacts healthcare, or how the world's need for reliable energy sources comes at a time when nations are committing to a more sustainable future. In fact, those two energy industry realities have played a role in his growing focus on the nuclear power sector, and he's been building a team to make sizable investments there. To help you better understand why, we are pleased to welcome Michael Lee-Chin back to BNN Bloomberg. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, John.
So I want to start with the nuclear power focus. When did you start thinking about the opportunity investing in this area?
It would have been about 3 years ago. I thought, whenever there's a shift in the dominant source of energy, there's also a shift in economic power. And today we are going through a shift to nuclear energy. It's an inevitable. So that was the main driver for me. Against the background of how I think, wealth is created. I'm always thinking wealth creation. Wealth is created by people who are forward thinking. Like they go where the puck is going.
Yeah.
In fact, what we have done, we have codified it. Wealth is created by practicing the 3 Ps. You have to predict, you have to plan, and then you have to persevere. So nuclear, so today in the Paris Accord, 2015, COP20, most countries committed to be carbon net zero by 2050. But to be carbon net zero, we have to get rid of fossil fuels, the usage of fossil fuels. Currently, most countries, the energy mix would be the hub and spoke model. At the hub, you have fossil fuels, spokes, renewables. Fossil fuels, some wonderful properties. Always on, scalable, and high energy dense, but dirty. We need to replace that base, the fuel from the hub, and supplant it, replace it with something that's always on, highly scalable, and energy dense, but clean. And the only such source known to mankind is nuclear fission. I'm sorry.
And so when you look at the road ahead and you make a long-term investing bet, as you've outlined here, how do you then go about investing? Because I get the sense that you're going to be investing in a range of areas. Is that tied to nuclear? Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. The first thing, the essence of investing is make sure you understand what you own. So the first thing we had to do was to get an understanding. So we built a nuclear team. So we have a chief nuclear officer, which is unusual for an asset management business. But if you are grounded in understand what you own, then you need a technical understanding. So the team is there, and we have products that are now participating. And basically, nuclear energy won't come predominantly in the source of these giga nuclear plants. They'll come in the source in the form of small modular reactors and micro modular reactors that can be produced in factories and rolled out quickly.
Yeah.
So what we're doing, we're investing in everything upstream of the SMR and downstream what SMRs will enable, like hydrogen, as an example.
And is there an opportunity to be investing globally when you're making this kind of commitment and you're building this kind of team? Are you guys looking everywhere for those opportunities?
100%, 100%. But I have to say, we here in Canada are uniquely positioned because, especially Ontario, we are vertically integrated. We are consumers of nuclear power currently. We have from the expertise. We have CNL, which is our National Nuclear Laboratory. We have the raw materials. right here in Ontario. So it would be a shame if we have all the requisite component parts for nuclear industry, and the nuclear industry will be exponentially greater than what we see today. It would be a shame if Ontario didn't build an industry to take advantage of the huge demand for nuclear personnel, nuclear expertise in all areas.
You know, it's interesting. While you explained the math between our energy needs and also our greener economy desires, the other thing that we've talked about a lot over the last couple of years is geopolitical tensions and how that can disrupt energy sources, and nuclear in some ways took a fresh seat at the table because of that as well. Was that another consideration for you?
You see what nuclear does also is give country energy security and energy independence. And within independence and being able to produce native energy, you can open up different industries. So more countries will be enabled. So for all of those reasons, we're attracted. But most importantly, whenever you get into an area early, that's when you're going to make the huge upside in terms of wealth creation. So not only will nuclear today give us an opportunity to do well, extremely well, but also to do good for the planet.
And you've always believed in making those correct assumptions early, but being invested in businesses for a long time.
Yes.
So it sounds like you're in the early innings of a long-term commitment.
That is exactly what we do. We did this early in 1983 when I went out as a young man, 32, and borrowed $500,000 to put into McKinsey Financial Corporation, and saw the mutual fund industry grow from back then total assets under management of $5 billion. Today it's over $2 trillion, 400 times.
Amazing, yeah.
Likewise, we now have an opportunity to get in early on a space that is going to be a lot more ubiquitous in the future. But also, there's another dimension to nuclear. It's nuclear medicine, which is solving for cancer at the cellular level, targeted radionuclide therapy.
Well, that actually ties with something else you've talked about, because you're looking at long-term trends. Even in this country, as you know, we do have an aging population. That is hard to ignore, and clearly you haven't ignored that as an investor.
So demographics has always led me. Remember, I started off by saying to create a lot of wealth, substantial wealth, you need to be able to predict, plan, and persevere. Demographics is an excellent predictor. Today, I'm 73. What do 73-year-old people think about? Well, they think about living long and a healthy life. So we're in the early innings of a healthcare boom. But unfortunately, within healthcare, as we age, the likelihood of getting cancer is increased. So there's going to be an oncology boom. But oncology has been around for, as we know it, external beam radiation and chemotherapy, both brutal, they've been around for nearly 100 years, and they're ripe for disruption. What's going to disrupt chemotherapy and external beam radiation? Treating cancer at the cellular level, zapping the cancer cells and leaving neighboring healthy cells alone. That's PRT, TRT, and that's the way in which cancer is now being treated more and more, starting with prostate cancer and neuroendocrine type GEPNET, which is gastroenteropancreatic neuroendocrine type tumors. Those are two types of tumors that we have drugs in the marketplace treating.
Michael, you mentioned on the nuclear subject itself that we have an opportunity here in Canada, even in provinces like Ontario. There is as you know, there's a constant dialogue around Canada, the business economy around the country. What is our opportunity over the long terms? Is this still a good place to be investing over the long term? If we go back to that young Michael Lee-Chin, who was able to spot an opportunity and create an enormous amount of wealth, including for people around you, and then to become very philanthropic as well. Do you feel if you were starting out today that Canada would still offer that same opportunity?
100%. As I said earlier, Canada should be the epicenter of the nuclear energy production, not only in terms of nuclear energy, but in terms of the ecosystem around nuclear energy. We are vertically integrated from the mines to the intellectual property. So it would be a shame if we didn't capitalize on that opportunity that we have. We have all the base elements, and we have the tailwind in our back.
Okay, before I let you go, you've already alluded to some of this, but ability, hard work, discipline, long-term thinking, these are all considerations for successful investors. But if I could ask you, like, for anyone who wants to be a successful investor, what is your best piece of advice?
My best piece of advice is the 3 Ps. Predict. Take a view of the future. Look at where things are going. Connect dots. So predict, plan, and persevere. As I said earlier, the best, from my perspective, what has guided me throughout my career is using demographics as a predictor.